move on to the next thing. This week, Amazon released the All or Nothing series, chronicling the 2018 Carolina Panthers season with the ups and downs and behind the scenes scoops of what was going on. So, what do you guys think of it? How many episodes have you watched so far?
I'll go first because I don't think I've completed as many as Vince.
I'm committed.
I fell
So I looked
asleep
at you
last
first.
night.
How many episodes did you
I had a
watch?
feeling it was going to go that way, man. But the 3.5 episodes I have watched, because I fell asleep on 4 last night, man.
So you're saying it wasn't that interesting?
No, I'm saying I was tired. That's what I'm
okay.
saying.
Why was you tired? Take the vitamins.
You start that, man. All right. But anyway,
Some water.
So far, so great. And the first thing I wanted to say was, man, like, I don't want this to end. Like, what I mean by that, like, I was, this is something we can see, like, every week after every game. But that's how into what I am, how into it I am, man. The behind-the-scenes stuff, ironically, man, there's nothing really surprising about what I've seen so far. Like really, there's nothing that jumped out at me like, man, I didn't know such and such was this way. I didn't know such and such was that way. There's no surprises, but it's still all very, very interesting, man. You get to see, and yeah, they even go to some players' houses. And you know what I mean? Like, they were in Cam's crib, they were in Thomas Davis's crib, man, like, and that kind of stuff. It's funny, man. We see these celebrities, and we always see them with the PC answers and the I'm in front of the camera answers. It's just really nice to see the human side of any celebrities, let alone our hometown Carolina Panthers, man. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, man.
What about you guys?
So this is my second season of All or Nothing watching. This is the 4th season overall, my second one. The first one I watched was the Arizona Cardinals. And I told you guys a couple months ago that I came across it randomly and was thoroughly surprised. So when the Panther season came out, I was pretty geeked up for it. But I'll be honest with you, it didn't really resonate with me the way that I thought it would. Like to kind of echo what Jamal said, nothing really jumped out at me. There were about 4 things that I did take notice of. Okay, so 2 things that really stood out to me. And my bad if I'm hitting you guys with spoilers, because I know you guys haven't got that far ahead.
I'm about 6.5 in.
2 players that I wanted to highlight was Dante Jackson and Devin Funchess. I didn't know their attitudes were the way that they been portrayed on the show.
Well, quick caveat.
Okay.
Dante Jackson is recently upset about the way he was portrayed in that.
Okay.
That was released on the Panthers Wire today or last night.
Okay.
He was kind of upset about the way he was portrayed, kind of like as the hard-headed kid. I got this. Let me figure it out. So he was just kind of upset about how he was portrayed.
And I'm actually glad that he put that out there, because from what I saw, on the field last year, I saw a kid who was looking to learn, looking to be better, looking to try and be the best. But I'm watching the show, and it's like, hey, leave me the hell alone. Like, I feel like you guys are picking on me. Now, stop talking to me before I take my ball and go home. And, like, it completely surprised me. And speaking of narratives, I was a little upset, but not surprised that the whole Eric Reid situation got glossed over the way that they did.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I'm
We'll go into
disappointed
detail
with
with
that.
that.
Yeah.
Now, when we spoke on this a couple months ago about what we thought going forward, I actually said that I didn't think that they would have gave much attention to that, because obviously the media was going to pick it up and run with their narrative. But when they spoke on Eric Reid, it was almost like they did it out of obligation, and then it was like, okay, we mentioned it.
All right, let's move on.
Now we're going.
It's like okay, our obligation, we did it. Okay,
because there was so much that happened with Eric Reid during the season that they could have highlighted to actually help him out.
And not to cut you off, like, I obviously haven't gotten as far as you have, but like, where was all the mention of the drug tests?
Exactly.
So
and again, like Jamal said, you had all the drug tests. I think he took 7 drug tests, 7 to 8 drug tests during the season. Then it was I want to say the Giants. It was either the Giants or the Philly game. One of the commentators refused to call him by his name.
Wow.
And during the entire game, he referred to Eric Reed as number 25.
Number 25, yeah.
And then there was a Pittsburgh game, the dreaded Pittsburgh game for the entire team. But Eric Reed got ejected that game for that late hit on Roethlisberger. And if you watch the game, we can't all be like Jamal and like actually go to these games. So if you was watching the game,
Jamal's a real fan.
if you were watching the game, when you listen to the commentator was saying typically what happened is in a situation like this, the player won't get ejected, but if it's necessary to find him, the league will find him afterwards.
Right.
So the commentators were like they were 100% confident he wasn't going to get ejected. And then the refs come out and it was like number 25 has been ejected from the game. So I think they missed all of that stuff that they could have highlighted.
Picked on a lot.
But they basically just said, okay, we signed Eric Reed. And then I didn't like how they portrayed Cam Newton because Ron Rivera and Cam Newton, they were in like a closed room meeting. And let me backtrack a little bit. Ron was talking to Cam about possibly bringing in
Eric Reed.
and I thought it was dope
that
the team actually consulted Cam Newton about player transactions. So so for the people who criticize Cam Newton a lot, that kind of gives you some insight as far as how the team looks at him.
Right.
So I thought that was dope, but the little segment that they showed, it didn't seem like Cam initially was on board. His biggest concern was the distractions. He said, hey, look, if he comes in and play, that's cool. I just don't want no distraction.
Right.
And I didn't like that.
I didn't like it either.
But then,
I understood it, but I'm in. Well.
I'm not gonna steal your thunder here, Vince, but I'm with you, Rodney, because when he said, I want him to understand what we're all about, and I can respect that part.
Yeah.
And I also can respect the part that said, well, I want to talk to him as well, because at first I'm with you. I'm just like, come on, Cam, like, how big of a distraction is it really going to be, man? You know what I mean?
Agreed. But to end that, Cam said, give me his phone number. I'll reach out and call him.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty dope. So that entire situation, there were a lot of positives in it, but I really think all or nothing could have spent a little bit more time on the Eric Reed situation.
Yeah.
And there was one more thing that I liked and then I didn't like. And that's everybody's favorite Panther, Agent 89. When I saw that he was on the practice field, I thought it was a little interesting because he still takes shots at the organization. So like you currently still take shots and get your, but cool, you guys are trying to be offenses. I don't know if you guys have gotten there, but DJ Moore had a bad game, right?
Yeah,
so Steve Smith was on the field and he called Cam over. And he was like,
funniest thing I saw on the thing.
That shit was hilarious.
But the DJ had that I ate butt phrases.
Hey, that shit was like he's standing right there beside you. He's like, yo, you think? And I wish Cam. I wish Cam would have went more along with the joke. Like, yeah, you know what, you should.
Cam was way too serious.
Cam was like, no, don't bench him. He's a good. Like, I don't think Cam. It was a joke.
Yeah.
But what upset me about Steve Smith was after that, him and DJ Moore was standing beside each other, and I can't remember the conversation. But Steve Smith said, "If you do X, Y, Z, I'm gonna slap you across the head." And
you're paraphrasing.
Yeah, I was definitely paraphrasing. Hey, this is a G-rated show, okay? But and it just reminded me of those two broken jaws on his record. Like, you know what I'm saying? We talked about this during the draft because he went off on, was it Rosen?
Rosen, yeah.
He went off on Rosen, and our thing is, he's like, Steve, you're out now.
Let me speak to that, man. Let me speak to that. Here's the reality, Vince. Steve Smith is never going to change, man. Like, that fire that he has, even though he's not in the game of football, with some athletes and with competitors like that, man, I just don't think that goes away. Regardless of whether it's annoying, aggravating, whatever you want to call it, man. It just does not go away. And to speak on the fact that he still hangs around the team after he's criticized the organization.
I thought him and Cam didn't have a good relationship.
He admitted fault, and they've been working on it going forward.
Gotcha.
And and this is just me speculating. I don't have first-hand information, but I think that Steve Smith relationship was very solid with Dave Gettleman
Yeah.
and Richardson in particular. But
I'll
he
agree
still,
with that.
But he still has a lot of love for those players that he played with,
Yeah.
which probably speaks to why he's still hanging around, which I didn't know. That was a little shocking to me. I did not know Steve Smith was still that close to the organization where he's attending practices. Something I did
that
not
was
know.
a shock to me.
And, and let me just say this is neither here nor there, man. But I turned into such a fanboy when he came on this. I was like, oh, like Steve, I miss you, man. Like,
I was a little geek. I'll admit, that was a good gesture.
Look, man,
Y'all got cool with that, man.
Steve was like my favorite Charlotte athlete of all time, man. So I was pretty geeked up when I saw him. But that was
Steve,
pretty cool.
if you're listening, I think you would make a great receivers coach. I think that's like mainly the one thing, the big thing. Ricky Prohl did a pretty good job, but imagine Steve Smith teaching DJ Moore. I mean, come on, man.
I have one question. I have one question about that. We know Steve's personality, though. I don't question his knowledge one bit,
No, not a bit.
not 1 ounce. But man,
They mess
that
up.
first time they messed up.
You know what? Okay, I thought about that, but one thing I noticed from All or Nothing was Norv Turner is not like as nice a guy as when they.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean,
like it.
I like it too, man.
He was
Yeah.
getting on cats, and I feel like maybe that's what the receivers need. Maybe Ricky Prohl was too nice. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin was a talented dude. Devin Funchess was a talented dude. I know Ricky Prohl was gone, during Funchess' time, but for some reason we haven't been able to
We didn't get the best out of
those guys,
Yeah.
and maybe they need somebody like. Man, receivers coach will punch you in your
And and did you guys know about Devin's attitude before this?
Nah, man, that really shocked me. Like when people this year were saying that he quit, and I'm like, nah, he just was going through this. And I saw how he was acting. I'm like, man, that kind of turned me off to the dude, man.
Well, the thing is, looking back at it now and kind of putting it together and how the season ended is not surprising because
Yeah.
just looking at his play on the field and seeing why he was replaced those last 4 or 5 weeks in the season, it all makes sense now, man. And I hate to say it, man, it was kind of the same stuff Kelvin Benjamin was doing his last couple of weeks.
Do you guys think that All or Nothing ended up being a part of the reason why the Panthers collapsed? Because now that we know, during the season, none of us really realized that Amazon was filming a show or that they were so ingrained into what was going on in the season. And you take some young guys on the team, they're in the spotlight now. I mean, they're going to be on what's essentially a docudrama.
Yeah.
So when the wheels started to fall off, other NFL teams didn't have the luxury of not having Amazon literally in their houses. I mean, these guys were literally in Cam Newton's house.
Right.
You think that was part of the reason?
That could be part of the reason, but I think the defense got old before our eyes.
Yeah, I would kind of agree. I would agree with Rodney. I would say no, that the cameras being in their faces, that didn't play a part. And I say because these guys have been the best player on their team their entire lives, up until they got up to the NFL. So they always had a camera in their face.
Mm-hmm.
They've always kind of had to watch how they act and all that good stuff. So I would say no. No, but one thing that I did want to mention, I liked the documentary because it was interesting to see the atmosphere of the team during that 6-2 start and how great and how upbeat and how chipper they were. And then when they took that first loss, after the game, everybody was like, we had a chance to win, but we couldn't pull it off. We had a good fourth quarter and everything. Things just didn't work out. So we're going to go tweak some things, and we'll be good for next week.
Right.
And then next week came, and they lost again. And it was like, man, that was sting, but we're still good. We're still 6-4. We're still prime position. And then to see that slow degradation of attitude throughout the season, and I think it was interesting to see that. Like, it's in a good way and in a bad way well also.
And then one thing that stood out to me as well is just Cam's leadership and how everybody kind of looks up to him, because the narrative that's kind of told us is he's not a leader. He's still pouty and all the other stuff.
Well, you gotta understand who that's coming from too, man. But to answer your question, man, I think it's a fair point to think that it may have affected the team, but at the same time, I don't think so. Only because I think there's too much veteran leadership in that locker room to kind of let that be a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to some of those young players, but to the Thomas Davises and Greg Olsons and Cam Newtons, no, I can't really see it. And for the same reasons, Roddy, I just think the defense got old, and I think Cam Newton's shoulder kind of.
And it was interesting seeing the human side of Greg Olsen too.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know if y'all seen this episode, but like he coaches like youth flag football, and he doesn't talk to them like they're 8-year-olds. He talks to them like he talks to them like they're 28-year-olds and like that. And I'll just leave it at that. But I got a nice little laugh out of watching that little piece right there.
Gotcha.